Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop. All the news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's the host.
Good evening, people. My name is Deborah A Woolen, and I'm your host this evening for Inside Scoop. Tonight, we have one of the most prominent figures in Northern Virginia, Chris Falcon. Chris, thank you so much for joining us.
Deborah, thanks for having me on tonight.
Absolutely. Just so everyone knows, so you are currently the Deputy Clerk, Civil Division Supervisor, and Legal Counsel for the Arlington Circuit Court Clerk's Office.
That's right. I've been with the Clerk's Office in Arlington County for the past 8.5 years as a deputy to the Clerk of the Court, Paul Ferguson. And about 3 years ago, I also became legal counsel to the office, and I'm also the Civil Division Supervisor. So I wear a lot of hats there.
That is a lot of hats. And you are going to be running for the Fairfax County Clerk of Court. So we're going to get into that.
Okay.
But first, let's start off with your background. Like, tell us all about who is Chris Falcon?
Happy to. So my origin story starts with my parents, Walter and Betsy Falcon. They're immigrants to the U.S. My mom, Betsy, came from Ecuador in 1968, of all years, and my dad, Walter, came from Peru in 1971. And they originally lived in Washington, D.C. for a little bit, and then they came across the Potomac in the early 70s and settled here in Fairfax County. I came about 10 years later, but they've been in Fairfax County since, I believe, 1972 or 73. And I was just raised here in Falls Church, actually not too far from where we are tonight. I grew up in the area of Falls Church. It's kind of halfway in between Loman's Plaza and Seven Corners. Falls Church people will know exactly what I'm talking about. But I grew up going to the Fairfax County Public Schools. I went to Pine Spring Elementary, and then later Mantua Elementary when we moved in 1990, and then Frost Middle, and I graduated from W.T. Woodson High School here in Fairfax County. So born and raised here, went away for a couple of years to go to school at James Madison University, okay. Go Dukes, and then also Widener Commonwealth Law School in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. But after graduating from law school, I came back here and I started practicing law in this area. So Fairfax County through and through.
I see. You're Northern Virginia born and bred.
That's right.
So what in your development, what made you say, okay, I want to study law? It's not for the faint of heart, law. So what made you go in that direction? I'm
so glad you asked that. So it was actually 8th grade at Frost Middle. We had a civics unit. I believe they still teach civics in 8th grade in the Fairfax County Public School System. But I remember we read the book 12 Angry Men, and then we watched the movie, and we had a unit where you got to do a mock trial. And I put my name that I wanted to play one of the attorneys in this mock trial and get to have the role of the defense attorney. And I just loved it. I mean, to me, as a 12 or 13-year-old that I was at the time, I was blown away that this could be a job that I one day could have myself. And my big brother, he was interested in law too, so he was a role model for me coming up. He went to law school before I did, but that piqued my interest, I think, at that point in middle school, that I could one day also be an attorney. I'm a first-generation American, like I said, so my parents' dream was that I get a college education, but I decided to take it a step further and go to law school. And when I came back, after those 3 years in school, I just saw that there was a ton of opportunity here in Northern Virginia, especially for Spanish-speaking attorneys to help the immigrant population here.
Absolutely, and you've been doing that for 14 years now.
That's right. I graduated in 2007. I've been actively practicing law since 2008, so 15 years.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
And all of that in Arlington County?
No, so when I first came back to the area, primarily my practice was personal injury, traffic defense, and I was doing that all over the Northern Virginia jurisdiction. So most of my cases were actually in Fairfax County. So I tried a number of cases, including jury trials, in the Fairfax County Circuit Court. And then I also had cases in Arlington County, in the city of Alexandria, in Prince William County, and then on occasion I would go outside to Loudoun and some of the other areas to the south. Yeah, so a little bit all over.
That's great. So I did some research on you, Chris.
Okay.
Specifically your LinkedIn profile, that is a shameless plug. Please go to LinkedIn and you can look up Chris Falcon and type in there. But I saw you have some really interesting some points in your background. For example, the Arlington County ASAP Policy Board. Tell us about that, what you do there.
Absolutely. So ASAP stands for the Alcohol Safety Action Program, and it's a program that exists all over the Commonwealth of Virginia, where the court systems and the Commonwealth of Virginia run programs for folks that have either had alcohol charges or drug charges. And it's a wonderful program that is put on by court staff to assist those individuals. It takes a number of weeks and they can participate in that. But the ASAP policy boards are individuals that have been nominated and put forward to review those programs and make sure that they're running, that there's sufficient resources, and that the programs are functioning the way they should be. And I'm very proud to serve on the one in Arlington County and City of Falls Church, along with a couple of judges, the sheriff, our Commonwealth attorney, and a number of other people that are on that policy board. I think it's an important service.
Absolutely. What's one thing, I'm putting you on the spot here, what's one thing that you find super rewarding about that seat?
Being able to give back to the community, for sure. I mean, I think throughout my legal career, either after I graduated and I came back to the area, I've donated and I've given my time pro bono as much as I possibly can, given my other things that I have going on. But being able to give back, it's not a paid position. These are all volunteers that are there serving our respective areas and bringing forward the knowledge and the expertise that we have to that board and to the community that we serve. When I first graduated, one of the organizations that I gave back pro bono was assisting with the housing crisis that we had going on in 2008. So anytime I can, I try to volunteer and give back some time.
And was that Rule 6 or 6.1?
Yeah, so thanks for bringing that up. So
Sure.
Rule 6.1 of the Virginia Rules of Professional Conduct, actually in Virginia, tell lawyers that they should be giving at least 2% of their time back in the form of pro bono. So I challenge my friends, if they're watching tonight, to give back. The State Bar has also challenged everyone this year to do at least 30 hours. So I'll be reporting 30 hours, and I challenge my other friends that are part of the bar to do the same at a minimum, because there is a huge need in our community for legal services, and I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yep.
But part of my job in the clerk's office is just dealing with individuals that are having serious legal situations in their life. And a lot of times they don't know that there's organizations out there that they can work with to provide them representation.
Absolutely. So speaking of which, you are also, actually you did this before, you were a volunteer attorney for St. Anthony's Legal Aid Clinic?
Mm-hmm. So during the years after I left the active trial law practice, I was looking to give back and get involved in the community, and one of the organizations that I found was the St. Anthony's Legal Aid Clinic in Falls Church. It's in the Coolmore area at the Catholic Church that's on Route 7 there. And every Saturday from 9 until 11 a.m., there's attorneys, non-attorneys, translators that are on site for people to come and meet with an attorney for free.
Wow.
And a lot of people don't know about this, so one of the things I'm happy to do at my job at the court right now is provide resources to all the different legal aid organizations that are out there. And St. Anthony's, the Legal Aid Clinic, is one of them. I just heard from someone that I sent there last weekend that they were able to meet with a lawyer on a pretty complex situation that they were having, and that they had a great experience there with them.
That brings me into another point, and I do want to come back, if we have time, to the Board of Directors for Edu Futuro. But you mentioned just someone having access to justice. So Fairfax County, from a demographics perspective, is 49% white, 10% black, 21% Asian. This is according to the 2022 census. Again, 21% Asian, 17% Latino, but our police force is 77% white, 8% black, 6% Asian, and 8% Latino. So can you talk a bit about the importance of diversity in our courts? What does it look like now, according to your perspective, and is a change needed?
Absolutely. So in my opinion, the diversity of the bench, of the court system, of law enforcement should always reflect the diversity of the community that it serves. So I can only really speak to the clerk's office where I work, but we're very proud of having a diverse workforce that reflects the diversity of Arlington County and City of Falls Church. That's the same thing I want to bring to the Fairfax County office. I mean, the clerk's office, I mean, everyone at home may not know this, but it's a really interesting office that runs behind the scenes at the courthouse. And the clerks that people meet when they come in and have situations are the staff that are working behind the scenes and supporting the judges there. And I do believe that it should be as diverse as the county and the jurisdiction that it serves.
Absolutely. The law, any interaction with the law can be super intimidating. So interacting with someone or seeing someone on the other side of the window that looks like you, might speak your same language, is super comforting.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. English was not my first language. Spanish was my first language. So the look, the relief that comes on someone's face when they walk into our office and then they say, ¿Hablas español? And I say, sí, claro, ¿cómo le puedo ayudar? So that is priceless, and I love that. But I'm also always looking to bring in more languages, because it shouldn't just be Spanish. It should be not all of them, that's not realistic, but as many as we can get at the courthouse.
I think at DMV, there's like a whole list. You've got Farsi, you've got Amharic, you've got just so many. And again, like you said, there is that barrier that breaks down when you see someone who looks like you or who might speak the same language as you.
100%. So, I mean, I talk a lot about meeting people where they are, but that's part of meeting people where they are. Having language access at the courthouse is a huge thing that I'm 100% behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you talk a bit about Edu Futuro?
Sure. Yep. So Edu Futuro is a nonprofit organization that began as Escuela Bolivia in the late 90s. And it's actually really neat. In 2014, I believe, just got a random email that they needed, this organization needed speech competition judges to participate in an event that was going on that night at a church not too far away from me. And I responded that I would be there. And it's an organization that assists immigrant and first-generation youth with their path and their goals to getting to college. So I'm happy to talk about it more. It sounds like we're going to break.
Absolutely, we are. Everyone, please come back to join us as we continue our conversation with Chris Falcon as he discusses what he's doing right now for Arlington County Circuit Court and what he plans to bring to Fairfax County as our Fairfax County Clerk of Court. Be right back.
Your time is gonna come. Your time is gonna come. It's up to you to reach out to be that friend who comes along. Your day is gonna come.
When you make a friend, you make a difference.
Your day is gonna come.
Friendship, pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Good one, son.
Last summer, my new dad took me on vacation. First, we went deep sea fishing.
Wow! I'm so proud of you, son.
And then we went on Thunder Shark. That was awesome! Let's go again! 3 times. I gotta say, it was pretty cool.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
What's it feel like when a woman's having a heart attack? Chest pain, like there's a ton of weight on your chest. Severe shortness of breath. Unexplained nausea. Cold sweats. There's an unusual tiredness and fatigue. There's unfamiliar dizziness or lightheadedness. Unusual pain in your back, neck, jaw, one or both arms, even your upper stomach are signs you're having a heart attack. Don't make excuses. Make the call to 911 immediately. Learn more at womenshealth.gov/heartattack.
Operation Wonder Park is a go!
There's nothing more powerful than imagination.
Honey, have you seen my cell phone?
But don't just imagine.
My park came to life?
Ooh, a plot twist.
Use STEM to build, create,
She did it.
and change the world.
Who's with me?
I'm more of a 2 feet on the ground kind of guy.
It's gonna hurt tomorrow.
If she can STEM, so can you. Find out more at She Can STEM.
we're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Deborah A Woolen, your host this evening for Inside Scoop, and I'm speaking with Chris Falcon. And Chris, you stopped at telling us about Edu Futuro. Can you give us more information about that program?
Absolutely. So as I was saying, it was a nonprofit organization that supports first-generation and immigrant students here in the Fairfax County area. Also serves Arlington County, City of Alexandria, Prince William County, and I believe we also have Roanoke in our area. But it provides tutoring services, leadership training, assists with college applications, FAFSA forms, so you name it, we do it at the organization, and one-on-one mentoring for students in their senior year when they're going through the college application process. This is a very personal organization to me. My parents helped me as much as they possibly could when I was applying for college, but they had never gone through it themselves. So we step in and fill in some of those gaps with the students, and it's awesome. Just seeing the results, we've had students that have gone on to Ivy League schools, and they've come back and they've gotten an enormous number of scholarships and come back, and now they give back as volunteers themselves to the organization. So I was asked to be a volunteer and judge speeches that some of our students were giving, and just the speeches we heard that night back in 2014 blew me away. Wow. Some of the topics were students who told about their story immigrating to this country, about family and parent separation, and challenges that I will never know. At the end of the speeches, I looked at the other judges. There was not a dry eye in the house. I love this organization, so I try to give back to them and tell people about it as much as I can. But the results speak for themselves. The students have graduated from college, they've gotten amazing jobs, and now they come back and they give as volunteers as well. And we've also begun helping the parents of these students with workforce development, training classes to help them as well in their pathway to good jobs with benefits.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, love Edu Futuro.
Awesome. So actually, as a child of immigrants, someone had to help you get to where you are right now. So what do you do for Arlington County?
Yep. So I had a lot of people helping me. For sure, I give so much credit to the Fairfax County public school system for where I got. But yeah, the job I have at the county, at the clerk's office right now, is actually a really interesting position. The clerk of the court, like I said, manages the behind the scenes, but we also issue all the marriage licenses for the entire county. We record all the deeds, we register all the wills. We also manage all the civil and criminal cases that are going on and the case files for those cases. We're also the office that, after general elections occur, all of the ballots from those elections come and get stored with us every single year. But we have a number of different tasks, including expungements. People that want to petition to have criminal charges removed from their record for things they were not convicted of can come to the clerk's office and complete paperwork with us, or they can even complete it on our website and submit it by mail. To have those charges removed. So it's over 800 different tasks the clerk's office actually has assigned to them.
That is huge. Speaking of expungements, wasn't there an event that you had recently that was like an expungement clinic or?
Yeah. So that was the Arlington City Falls Church free expungement clinic that was run in December. It was an amazing event. It was a collaboration between our office, Paul Ferguson, the clerk of the court's office, and the Commonwealth Attorney's office for Arlington and City of Falls Church. We got together and said, we need to offer one of these clinics like Prince William County has done, where people can come on a non-traditional workday on a Saturday to a location that is outside of the court and get assistance with the expungement process. One of the first things I did when I arrived at the clerk's office was I reviewed all the information that we had online about expungement, and I immediately tried to making it more user-friendly, because what I had found is a lot of people cannot afford attorneys in civil cases. So they're trying to handle this and help themselves through this process. So I went through that information online. I made it a step-by-step process. I put up fillable PDF forms on there so that they could complete it themselves on their phones or on a computer. But this clinic was an opportunity.
You did that yourself?
I did, yeah.
Wow.
So one of the things I brought to the clerk's office was, I think, the mentality of a practicing attorney and what I would also want to see if I was not a lawyer. What would I want to see if I was just a member of the public that had zero legal expertise or knowledge? So, but the clinic, coming back to the clinic, was just a fantastic event that we had early in December on a Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., where people were able to come to Arlington Presbyterian Church and file expungements for free, because we had nonprofits there that were actually supporting the filing fee so that the people that came would not have to pay anything. They would also get to meet with a lawyer for free and then have staff from the clerk's office review everything and open up a case for them on the spot. So it was awesome. I think we had a couple dozen people show up. But what sticks with me is that we had one individual that was waiting for 2 or 3 hours in his vehicle before the clinic even started.
Wow.
That's how much demand there was for this. By the time we opened doors and started letting people through to see an attorney and fill out their paperwork, we had well over a dozen people waiting in the lobby. But it was an amazing event. I feel like we were really able to give back to the community. And I just want to bring back to why expungement is so important. These are charges for things they were never convicted of. These are things that ended in an acquittal, a not guilty finding, that have popped up on their record over the years when they apply for jobs, when they apply for housing, when they try to go to college on their college applications sometimes. But it was great. It was an opportunity to give back, but then we also heard from the community themselves that day that it was great because they were able to come on a Saturday. They wouldn't have been able to otherwise come to the courthouse Monday through Friday during their work hours.
From a demographics perspective, what did most of the people look like?
Yeah, the vast majority were people of color.
Wow. Wow. And most people affected by a record being pulled with a charge on there for housing, like you said, for school, for a job. So that is tremendous. What is the filing fee that was paid?
Yeah, so typically the filing fee is $86 with an additional $12, so $98 plus, $98. So it was almost $100 that was being saved in just the filing fees alone. But and that's not counting the legal advice they got and the assistance they got on the spot.
Which is priceless. In Fairfax County, I believe for every case you want to file, I think it's $100, no, it's per case actually. So if someone has like 10, that's like hundreds of dollars that you saved them. So that's tremendous.
It is, and it was awesome, and I can't wait to do the event again. We're actually already talking about wanting to do another one in the summertime. It's my opinion that the clerk's office should be able to go out and meet the community where they are, and that includes clinics, going to fairs, and educating people about the different services we provide. Because like I mentioned, a lot of the things are administrative, like issuance of marriage license, recording deeds, but then there's also coming and petitioning to have your rights restored, which is also something that can be done at the clerk's office.
Wow.
Things that I don't think people always know they can do unless you tell them about it. So that was an opportunity where we were able to go out into the Arlington County community and give back.
Absolutely. It seems like the main theme of what's important to you is providing access to justice to citizens. I understand there is a particular program called Access to Justice that you're a part of?
Right, so the Virginia State Bar has an Access to Justice Commission, and they put out pamphlets and information that we actually give out at our office. When I arrived in 2014, I saw right away that we had a lot of people that were coming to the courthouse that could not afford lawyers, and when that happens, a lot of times they end up at the clerk's office, either speaking to me in person or to one of my staff members. So the Access to Justice Commission has a form that we provide, a pamphlet. It provides them good information on different organizations they can go to. Organizations like Legal Services of Northern Virginia that I may have mentioned earlier, which was the one that I was part of their housing clinic when we were helping people that were facing eviction, or Legal Aid Justice Center and other organizations. So the staff in our office when someone comes in and is having a serious legal situation, listens to that individual, doesn't start speaking at them, but actually listens to their problem and the problem that they're having at that time, and then will provide resources. And the Virginia Access to Justice Commission's pamphlet is one of those.
It's so interesting. During one of my very few interactions with the court, I had a question for someone in Fairfax County Court, Circuit Court. And my question was, can I staple all of these together, or do you all need them individually processed or something like that? And the representative's response was, that's legal advice, I can't answer that question. And so I'm glad that I have access to Google and I could figure it out, but I can imagine that that type of response is a bit intimidating.
Yeah, and off-putting. So the clerk's office is able to answer procedural questions. So that's a tough part. There is sometimes a gray area between what is a legal question and what's a procedural question. That wasn't really the gray area. That should have been able to be answered. But no, when I hear I can't answer that, that's a legal question. When it's not, that's like nails on a chalkboard to me. So we can do better. That's one of the fun parts of the job, actually, I think. And one of the things that we've really hammered down during the training of new clerks in our office is, where can you find that information? We're not always going to have the answers for everyone right on the spot, but we can at least point them in the right direction of where they can find that answer. Sometimes that's as simple as saying, we have a law library downstairs on the lobby level, and it's open right now, and there's a book, the Virginia Code, and a law librarian that can help point you, to that book, and I think you're going to find your answer in there. So there's ways to go around it without just saying, that's a legal question, can't help you, go talk to a lawyer. I think we can do better.
Absolutely. How important do you think training is when it comes to, and we're going to get into customer service a bit, or the importance of customer service, but how important is training for court staff?
I mean, I think it's so important because the situations that we're dealing with are some of the most serious issues someone's ever going to deal with in their life. People come to the circuit court when they're filing for divorce, when they're filing a petition for adoption of a child, when they're facing eviction, when they're fighting for custody of a child or child support, or when they are being stalked and they're seeking a protective order to protect themselves. So these are very, very serious situations, and the clerks that are there helping them have to be well trained to deal with those type of things. So we take training very seriously in our office, and we do training at the county, and we send people to Richmond to be trained at the Supreme Court.
That is awesome. Everyone, please come back as we will continue our conversation with Chris Falcon, who is running for the Fairfax County Clerk of Court. Come back and join us as we dig into a bit more of the issues that are important to him.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help, and slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie. Nailed it. We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
Being a dad is an adventure full of special moments.
A cruise!
Surprise!
Unexpected moments.
I got this.
And even awkward moments.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
But every moment you spend with your kids, even the smallest moments, can make the biggest impact on your child's life. So take a moment to be a dad today.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, our conversation with Chris Falcon. So, Chris, let's get into the issues that are important to you. Folks can visit your website at Falcon for Fairfax.
FalconForFairfax.com.
The number 4 or FOR?
4 spelled out, FOR.
Okay.
Yep.
So they can go to FalconForFairfax.com to learn more about you. But let's get into the 4 issues that you have pinpointed on your website, and why you've chosen those to kind of like be the main pillars of your platform. So first, equitable access to justice. In our previous segment, you talked a bit about that, but talk about why that's one of your pillars.
Absolutely. So one of the things we've also encountered at the court is that in some places, people are too often being required to have to physically go to a courthouse to do things that they should be able to do from their cell phones. Let me give an example. In our court right now, if you get sued in Arlington County, you can go on your phone tonight, put in your name, go to our website, put in your name, and find out what is the case number, who's suing you, what's been filed against you, when are your hearings, what courtroom are you going to be in. All of that is public information that you can access on your cell phone tonight if you're a party in a case in Arlington County. In Fairfax County, you can't find any of that information on the website.
Wow.
It's all blocked behind a paywall right now on the Fairfax County website. And it's the only county in the Commonwealth of Virginia, actually there's one other, Alexandria is moving to it, but they're moving to the right direction, but it's only Fairfax that is not available. You can't find that information for free right now. In my opinion, that puts people at an enormous disadvantage to being able to, one, defend themselves if they can't even find their case information online. And I'm not talking about confidential information. I'm talking about non-confidential information like names of parties that the federal court system puts up. Fairfax County does not. So equitable access to justice starts with giving people the tools, their information, to their own case information. That's also important to take note. This is our information. It's our cases. It doesn't belong to the court system. It's ours. So point number 1 in my platform for Clerk of the Court is going to be accessibility and access to justice, which starts with providing people with the information. And that will start with getting us on the free state-run online case information system. I'm not talking also about scrapping the entire thing. I know Fairfax County has put a lot of work, a lot of money into their current case management system, but we can add on the free piece so that people can properly defend themselves. I've even spoken to lawyers that are very happy about that, because if you want to be able to get that information online, you have to pay $150 every 3 months.
Oh my gosh.
And I've talked to lawyers who've said they don't pay that because that's a lot of money. They're not part of the proprietary plan that the Fairfax County Circuit Court Clerk's Office currently has. So I want to get that changed, and that'll be a day 1 thing, giving a call to the Virginia Supreme Court and saying it's time to get on the state plan just like everyone else.
Wow.
But yes, it also means the clerk of the court holds so many public records. It holds people's marriage licenses, the deeds to their home, their name changes, because it's also the office that you come to if you want to change your name or change the name of a minor child of yours. To get those records right now, you have to either go in person during regular business hours, or you have to send a request by mail or UPS or FedEx. There is no way for you to get it online. And that's one of the number 1 questions we get from people when they call us. They say, can I get that online? So in Fairfax County, I want to put a portal on the website that allows people to identify the public record that they want to request and then pay for it with a credit card so that they can then have it emailed back to them. And I know it's possible, Deborah, because it's being done in other parts of Virginia as well, but not in Fairfax County. And we need to put that on there too, so people can get copies of their public records. I've spoken to people who have traveled long distances to come during those work hours, and that's a huge burden for Fairfax County residents. I was speaking to a family at an event in the South County area down Lorton area, or Mount Vernon rather, excuse me, and it was just the distance between that part of the county and Fairfax City, where the courthouse is located, is enormous. So it's a lot to ask for residents to do that. I also had to get something personally myself from the court not too long ago, and I was able to go use paid time off from my job. I was able to drive myself because I'm privileged enough to have my own vehicle and pay for parking in the parking garage there and walk in and get it while I had childcare at home too. A lot of our neighbors don't have paid time off, don't have their own means for transportation, don't have childcare, and may not have the money to pay for that parking garage there. So I think it's part of our role as public servants and elected officials, hopefully, to be always thinking about all of the county residents and how the decisions we make in that office affect all of us. So that's what I'm talking about when I say access, equitable access to the courts and to justice.
Absolutely, that is super important. Okay, so when it comes to access to justice, you're right, people have to encounter the courts, so that leads us into customer service.
So customer service is something that I'm very passionate about as well. I went to business school at James Madison University, so the customer experience, CX, is something that's very important. We have our staff undergo customer service training, and then I also oversee the training myself, the staff that I have at the courthouse. It's not uncommon to come to the Arlington court and probably interact maybe with me. I jump up there. I told my staff actually today at work that I manage this place kind of like a McDonald's sometimes, and a McDonald's manager, sometimes you've seen, rolls up their sleeves and gets right in there with everyone. So it may not be feasible to do that in Fairfax County, which is so much larger of a jurisdiction, but I don't know, maybe you will see me jumping up there and staffing the counter at some point. But I think our public servants need to have, I think, the public always in mind, and the customers are the residents of this county and the city of Fairfax. We should always be thinking about how the things and the processes that we have in place save time or save money for our customers. That should always be paramount. And I think I was talking to someone recently who was bringing up the point of, what about queuing and wait times? It's a great question. There's no way to eliminate those things, but you know what happens if you call the court that I work in and there is not a live person? You get a call center that tells you you're number 2 or you're number 3 in line. You can press 1 and get a call back, or you can wait in line. It's something simple, but we implemented a call center so that people can choose an option to schedule a callback. That's something that I'd like Fairfax to do in other courts. We have to be more cognizant of people's time, I think, when we are running these types of offices.
Absolutely, I would love that. That sounds fantastic. Efficiency.
So by getting away from paper as much as we currently use in the Fairfax County Circuit Court, I believe we can be more efficient with our time, and we can redeploy our staff to do other things. But right now, so much of the business that's done is reliant on mail, on envelopes that have to be mailed in requesting copies of records. If you want to request a copy of a record at the Fairfax Court right now, you have to send in a request by mail. You then have to pay with either a money order or a certified check. I'm not even sure what a certified check is. I'm just kidding. I know what it is. But they won't even accept personal checks, so people end up having to go get a money order. And then you should include a self-addressed stamped envelope. So I think we can do better. We can we can set up ways for people to pay and request those things remotely, but that's going to free up a lot of time. I'm also a taxpayer here in Fairfax County, so I'm very concerned about how our money is being spent. So I will make sure that we are not wasting it on things like using paper when we can move and use technology to make our life a little bit better. Now, I don't think we can eliminate the use of paper. I'm not saying that, but we can look for more efficient ways to do things. And that was one of the things I've enjoyed most about my job since going in there in 2014, is just taking a fresh look at everything and asking, can we do that differently? Is there a way to get rid of that process and maybe cut out a middleman or set up something on our website? We have put a ton of fillable PDFs on the Circuit Court website in Arlington, and I think fillable PDFs are a huge plus for people if they're self-representing, and they may not have known that form even existed. Sometimes we get them from the Supreme Court of Virginia site and put them on the county site. But anytime we can try to use technology to either save our own time as staff or save the customer's time, I think that's a plus.
Absolutely. So Arlington County right now what's the population size?
It's a little over 200,000.
Okay, and so Fairfax County, we're like 1.1, 1.2. From a logistics perspective, these great ideas that you have, these great innovations that you want to bring, how do you see that as a challenge, going to a bigger population? What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So we're talking about going to a jurisdiction that's more than 5 times the size of the one that I currently work in. But that just drives home the point of having good systems in place, systems that are scalable, things like the call center that I just brought up. We need a call center in Fairfax. We need an online document request portal. We need free online case information system. I have called as a practicing attorney that office and had to wait on the phone line, and then I had a very nice clerk. All the clerks in Fairfax are very nice, but there is just so many people and so many cases going on that it's unrealistic that they be able to deal with all of it on any given day. But if we had a website that could answer that question and allow someone to answer it themselves by logging into it, like the other counties are currently doing, then we can free up that person's time. So yeah, it's just having those good systems in place that are scalable, I think will get us there.
Absolutely. It's just so interesting. I think Fairfax County is known in Northern Virginia as if not the cornerstone, then like the leader in innovation. So it just makes sense that should be the position that we have. So with some of the innovations that you're talking about that we don't have, it's a bit surprising.
It is, and I was speaking recently to a Chamber of Commerce, and I said to them, did you know that if you get sued right now in Circuit Court in Fairfax, you can't go online and find that case information? They were shocked. And then when I told them that so much is reliant on paper or couriers, that's the other part that I haven't even gotten to. So many of the law firms and other businesses end up having to hire couriers to take things personally to be filed. An online document request filing tool was very
couriers.
Cool.
Oh my gosh, are we in the 17th century right now? Please join us and come back as we have our one more segment with Chris Falcon. We're going to ask him specifically what he wants voters to remember about him at the polls in November. Come right back. That's pretty.
Nice going, Spencer! I can't believe we broke Old Man Hennessy's window.
Correction, dude. You broke. I just threw the ball.
This is really bad. What are we gonna do?
We? Go to the door, ask for the ball back.
Are you serious?
It's my ball, Myrtleback.
You're so dead.
I'd run away.
Yeah, to Uruguay.
Kiss your life goodbye. Sorry.
Let's go.
See ya. Remember me and your well.
Nice one. Some friends you are.
Keep smiling, keep shining.
Hi. Tell him it was an accident. And we can fix the window. Come on. I'll come with you.
Loyalty. Pass it on.
You go first.
A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
One day these rats were playing in the woods. Well, it's a matches and that's no good. Listen to smoke before you give it a try. Only you. Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Cause there's nothing very funny about fighting. Nothing very nice on a homeless mind. So if a gorgeous force is what you desire, don't play with matches. Don't play with fire.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Fire.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing. Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
And thank you so much for joining us as we have our conversation with Chris Falcon, who is the current Deputy Clerk for Arlington Circuit Court and running for Fairfax County Clerk of Court. So, Chris, public safety. What are your thoughts on that for Fairfax County?
Absolutely. So the clerk of the court actually serves an important public safety role as well. All of the concealed handgun permit applications that get filed in Fairfax County and the city of Fairfax come through our office. We are the first point of contact for those applications, or through the clerk's office in Fairfax. Right now, obviously, I work in Arlington, so all the Arlington and City of Falls Church ones come through us. But it is our job to make sure that each and every one of those gets sent to law enforcement so that a background check is performed on every single one of those applications. So it is a huge part of our job, and one that I make sure that our entire staff takes very, very seriously. So I think it is very important that whoever becomes the next clerk also obviously takes that as serious as we do. But that's a big part of our job that I don't think a lot of people know. Yeah. And then the other part too is emergency substantial risk orders, red flag law cases come through our office. It is not uncommon that I get to work on a Monday morning and I find an ESRO, an emergency substantial risk order matter, has been brought to us. And now I've trained everyone, we drop what we're doing, we get that case open, we get the information up to our judges so that we can get a hearing date for that case. We also have to notify the Commonwealth Attorney's Office and let them know that a new case has come in. And those, for the viewers that may not be aware, but our red flag law is a law that came into existence a couple of years ago here in Virginia, summer of 2020, that allows when someone has been deemed to be a harm to themselves or to someone else to have their guns surrendered. But those cases, they all have a hearing date. Those individuals get their due process and have their hearing with the court, but it's the clerk's office role to get the case opened up and to get the ball rolling, to have parties notified about their hearing date, and to have the court, the judges, and law enforcement all coordinate. So we serve a very important role in both of those, the concealed handgun permits and in the emergency substantial risk orders.
Yeah, I think it's super important for people to know about that process, to understand, like you said, you have everyone stop what they're doing, make sure the research is done, like you said, they get their due process. I just think it's important for people to understand that that is an important process of the clerk of the court.
It's a huge part of our jobs, and one other one that I actually forgot about is protective orders. So whenever the court enters a protective order and a stay-away order, also known as a restraining order in other parts of the country, we, the clerk's office, get that order to law enforcement that same day. It has to be taken to them by the end of that day to be entered into the criminal database. Or else terrible things can happen. So we kind of train the things that are the highest priority things that can happen on any day, and receiving a red flag law case or having a restraining order, a protective order come down are two of those things that I've trained all of our staff to drop the other things you're doing and get those handled. And that's what I intend on bringing to Fairfax too.
Absolutely. I think your background is tremendous. I know I'm not the only person who feels that way. I mean, from your law background to your work with the ASAP Policy Board, the legal clinic work, the Board of Directors for Edu Futuro, I think you bring so much. You bring so much to Arlington County, and I believe that you bring so much more to Fairfax County. So come November, what are some things that you want voters to remember about you?
Absolutely. So I would hope they'll know that I believe public safety is huge and is a huge part of our role, but that public service is also an honor. I tell all of our staff, it is an honor to represent the county where you live. Many of them live within this county, but to have this job is a huge honor. I would also hope they know that I'm the candidate that wants to save them time and money. There are easier ways to do a lot of the things that they end up having to do or interact with the clerk's office than physically coming there and having to take time away from family and jobs. So I want to save them time. I want to have us be more efficient and use the tools that already exist out there to save them time and money. But also, I want to deliver them great service. As a manager, as a court manager and a deputy clerk and civil supervisor, I love it when people take time out of their day to compliment one of my staff that direct report to me.
Wow.
That makes my day. So that is what we are going to bring to Fairfax. Like I said at the beginning, I was born and raised here. I've lived here my whole life. This office can really hum and can do great things. Because a lot of people don't know they're interacting with the clerk's office when they are. When they came and got their marriage license, they just thought, oh, I went to the court to do that. But they didn't know it was the clerk of the court probably that actually managed that whole thing. Same thing when they changed their name after a marriage. They didn't realize they were interacting with the clerk of the court. They just knew they went to the courthouse to file that paperwork. But no, I want the residents and the voters in Fairfax to know that I'm the candidate that's going to save them time and money.
Absolutely. And then I think one important aspect that you mentioned earlier, after elections, you said all of the votes come, or all of the ballots come to that office?
That's right, by law. So after the election has wrapped up and the registrar has done all they needed to do, we get all those boxes. And I know Fairfax has a little bit of a different system, but the state code applies to them as well. So in my office, we have the City of Falls Church and the Arlington County Registrar's Office coordinate to bring us all of the ballots, the counted ballots, the uncounted, or the ballots that weren't used, unused ballots, all of the election materials, and then we physically store those by code for a certain amount of time until they can be destroyed. So that's a huge part of our job. And because we are the custodian of those records, we also deal with folks that have inquiries on those. So part of my job as a lawyer sometimes is to come out and explain to someone why they can't have access to our ballots because the state code does not allow that. So huge part of our job. Another part that I don't think the public always knows is where their ballots go after the elections.
Yeah, that's super important. And I also think it's important to point out that upon your election, if elected, you'd be the first elected Latino. I think that is tremendous. But I also think it's worth mentioning that you see the court as a place where everyone should be welcome, where it should be inclusive for all people, all languages and all backgrounds.
100%. The clerk of the court should be the clerk of the court for all people, all residents of Fairfax County, regardless of whether English is your first language or your second or your third. It should be available, the services of this office, to all people. But thank you for bringing that up. Yes, there are many Latino deputy clerk of courts like myself all over the Commonwealth of Virginia, but there has never been a Hispanic or Latino elected as a clerk of the court in the 400-year history of Virginia. So I would become the first, and I hope to become this November.
That would be incredible. Do you have a story that you'd like to share of your work in currently Arlington Clerk of the Court? I don't know why I keep wrestling with that, but that makes you want to bring or continue that experience with Fairfax County.
Thank you, I do. It was pretty early on working there that I remember, it might have been 2015, I remember a gentleman walking into the clerk of the court one afternoon into our office, and he kind of walked up towards the counter. He looked sort of nervous, and then he came up to our counter, and I was there, and he, in a very low voice, and I knew right away he's being kind of quiet about it. He was like, I've heard there's this thing called expungement. Wow. And I knew, because he didn't want other people to hear that were next to him in line, what he was there asking about. And he is like, I've heard there's this thing called expungement where I can get rid of this charge that I got in 1999 that keeps coming up every time I apply to be a security guard. Wow. So I knew what I was going to say to him, but I also kind of had to hold it back a little bit because I was kind of upset too that more people don't know about that, and that there are probably so many people that don't know they have the rights to do these things. So as a clerk, that was an exciting moment for me to be able to say, you're right, there is something called expungement, and here's the form that tells you how to do it. And we have a law library downstairs where you can go and fill it out right now. And if you do that, come back and ask for Chris, and we're gonna get that thing filed today. And I remember when he had his expungement granted, because he came back and found me and thanked me. So it's you know, just some of those small moments, but I'll never forget that. That you know, stays with you and reminds you of why we all do this and why this office actually can be transformative in people's lives.
Absolutely. I think, you know, so many times we look at our elected officials or people that want to sit in certain seats, and we think of them as robots and people that aren't human, but I'm here to debunk that. So I have a fun game for us.
Uh-oh.
Yes. So I'm going to ask you some either or questions, and you can take some time to think about it.
Okay.
But this is going to be our audience's opportunity to see Chris Falcon, the human being. Okay, so ambition or comfort?
Ambition.
Okay. Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
Okay. If you would have said green bubble, I would have been like, interview over. Okay. Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook.
Okay. Bagels or toast?
Bagels. My wife's from Long Island. Bagels all the way.
Okay. Outer space or bottom of the sea?
Outer space.
Why?
I've been looking up at the sky my whole life.
Wow.
And I took astronomy in high school and in college. I was very fortunate that Woodson High School had a planetarium, and so yeah, space has been making me wonder my whole life.
Gotcha. Would you rather be the smartest person in the world or the richest person in the world?
Neither.
Neither. You can't choose just one?
Smartest.
Okay. Passion or stability?
Passion.
Texting or calling?
Texting.
Okay.
Who calls?
I know. And the most important one, the time-honored question, toilet paper over or under?
Over.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Over.
Okay.
I think I've told my kids when they put it in the wrong way, it's always over.
Always over. Absolutely. Chris, I have appreciated your time here. If folks want to know more about you, they can go to Falcon, F-O-R, Fairfax.com.
That's right, falconforfairfax.com. When they land there, they'll see a great picture of me, my wife, and my 3 kids, and learn about the issues we're running on.
Absolutely. And then they can access your Twitter, your LinkedIn, everything from there.
Yep, Falcon for Fairfax is all linkable on our website. The Twitter, the Facebook, the LinkedIn is all on falconforfairfax.com.
Fantastic. Everyone, thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful evening.